Tribbles are proof that Star Trek's Federation are hypocrites. When Gene Roddenberry first introduced the United Federation of Planets, it was envisioned as a near-perfect society. Humanity had overcome poverty, greed, and war, and joined with other species in a mission of peace, exploration, and tolerance. In theory, the Federation represents the best of what civilizations can aspire to: fairness, inclusion, and a respect for life in all its forms. But if you look closely, especially through the lens of one of Star Trek's most deceptively silly episodes, you'll see cracks in that utopian image. Yes, we're talking about the infamous Tribbles. Those fuzzy little purring creatures may seem like harmless comedy relief, but they also reveal one of the Federation's darkest hypocrisies: its selective compassion. From the trouble with Tribbles in Star Trek, the original series, to Star Trek Lower Decks, Tribbles have been used as running jokes, symbols of chaos, and even weapons. But when you consider the Federation's supposed values, the way it handles the Tribbles tells a different story. The Federation is supposed to value all life, but when a species becomes inconvenient, or when its existence threatens Federation bureaucracy, it suddenly becomes acceptable to treat that life as expendable. The Tribbles are proof that the Federation's ideals only go as far as comfort and control allow. The Trouble with Tribbles, comedy with dark undertones. The Trouble with Tribbles is one of the most beloved Star Trek episodes, and rightly so. It's witty, playful, and full of great character moments, from Captain Kirk buried under an avalanche of Tribbles to Scotty starting a bar fight with Klingons. But underneath the humor lies a story about how the Federation actually treats undesirable species. Serrano Jones introduces Tribbles to the crew of the Enterprise as harmless, cute pets. Almost immediately, the crew falls in love with them. Uhura takes one aboard. McCoy praises their soothing qualities, and even Spock admits their purring has a certain soothing effect. But within hours, the Tribbles multiply uncontrollably. What began as a novelty quickly spirals into a crisis. Tribbles infiltrate the ship's food stores, clog systems, and flood every corridor. The response from the Federation and Starfleet officers is telling. Nobody argues that Tribbles have a right to exist or that they should be studied in a humane, respectful way. Instead, the Tribbles are treated as pests, an infestation that must be eradicated. Kirk doesn't ask how to protect their ecosystem or whether they might be useful in some larger sense. He just wants them gone. The irony is that The Trouble with Tribbles came out during a time when the Federation was being presented as an enlightened alternative to human history. And yet, the moment a species becomes inconvenient, Starfleet officers lose all sense of compassion. The Tribbles stop being life and start being nuisance. For a society that preaches coexistence, the Federation is quick to decide which creatures deserve its protection. A Federation double standard. The Federation prides itself on the Prime Directive, non-interference in the natural development of alien civilizations. It has been used to justify leaving entire planets to die rather than stepping in, all in the name of respecting autonomy. And yet, when it comes to Tribbles, there's no hesitation to interfere. The Federation doesn't preserve their habitats or give them a place in their ecological philosophy. Instead, they sanction measures to exterminate or weaponize them. Consider how Federation officers handle Klingons. Despite centuries of enmity, Starfleet still works tirelessly to maintain a veneer of diplomacy, recognizing the Klingons as an honorable species with a rich culture. Even the Borg, one of the greatest existential threats in the galaxy, are afforded respect as a collective species. Starfleet often frames Borg conflicts in moral terms, asking if assimilation is just another form of cultural expression, and exploring whether individual drones deserve liberation. So why don't Tribbles get the same treatment? Why is an aggressive, warlike civilization afforded compassion while a nonviolent, fluffy lifeform is condemned as vermin? The answer is simple: hypocrisy. The Federation only extends its values to those species it finds useful, impressive, or politically advantageous. Tribbles who contribute nothing but chaos don't qualify. In that way, the Federation mirrors the flaws of the very societies it claims to have evolved beyond. Tribbles as biological weapons. If you think the hypocrisy ends with simple extermination, think again. Later iterations of Star Trek show that Tribbles are not only despised but actively exploited. In Deep Space Nine, Tribbles return during the 30th anniversary homage, Trials and Tribble-ations, and the humor is again front and center. But it's in Lower Decks where we see the Federation's darker side, Tribbles being considered as weapons. That's right, the same Starfleet that banned genetic engineering, that often lectures others about the morality of war, saw fit to tinker with Tribbles in ways that weaponize their biology. Suddenly, the harmless nuisance becomes a strategic tool. This is a complete violation of the Federation's supposed principles. Starfleet condemns the Klingons for experimenting with augments, criticizes the Romulans for cloaking devices, and holds itself up as morally superior. Yet when it comes to Tribbles, those rules go out the airlock. Weaponizing Tribbles isn't just unethical, it's absurd. A society that claims to value life is literally turning one of the galaxy's most benign species into a tool for destruction. It's the clearest example of Federation hypocrisy. Life is sacred, but only when it doesn't get in the way of political or military interests. Selective empathy and the illusion of utopia. The Federation loves to portray itself as a shining utopia. But Tribbles highlight an uncomfortable truth. Utopia is conditional. Empathy, compassion, and respect are reserved for those who fit neatly into Federation values. Intelligent humanoid civilizations? They get seats on the council. Exotic energy beings? They're studied with reverence. But a small, prolific species with no obvious benefit? They're pests. This selective empathy isn't unique to Tribbles, but the Tribbles make it obvious in a way that even casual fans can see. Unlike the Borg or Klingons, Tribbles pose no moral gray area. They're harmless, non-sentient creatures that just want to eat and multiply. Their only crime is existing too well. The Federation's response isn't to find balance, but to stamp them out. That reveals something vital about the Federation's supposed perfection. It's not really about universal morality. It's about order. Anything that disrupts order, whether it's Tribbles, Maquis rebels, or even rogue admirals, is crushed in the name of peace. Tribbles show us that the Federation's compassion has limits, and those limits are defined not by morality, but by convenience. The mirror of history. Part of what makes the Tribble hypocrisy so striking is how much it reflects real-world history. Humans have often categorized species into valuable and worthless. We cherish pets like cats and dogs but exterminate rats, pigeons, and invasive insects. Entire ecosystems have been reshaped because humanity decided which life forms were worth saving. Star Trek, for all its utopian trappings, can't escape this bias. The Federation mirrors the same flawed logic: protect what you like, destroy what you don't. Tribbles become the sci-fi equivalent of invasive species like rabbits in Australia or cane toads in Florida, creatures introduced for novelty, then vilified for thriving too well. The Fed.